Hey, what's going on, AP people? We have APUSH review Thomas Paine's Common Sense for you on the docket today. This is something that's specifically mentioned in the new APUSH curriculum that you should definitely be familiar with. So let's get going and covering Common Sense. So let's look at the APUSH curriculum. Key Concept 3.2, Roman numeral 1, letter B states the following. The colonist belief in the superiority of republican self-government based on the natural rights of the people found its clearest American expression in Thomas Paine's Common Sense and in the Declaration of Independence. And this is located on page 34 of the curriculum framework, which you can download in the description below. Definitely be familiar with this, guys. And Common Sense played an intricate role in influencing the colonists' decision to declare independence. And as I mentioned earlier, since it is specifically mentioned in the new curriculum, you should be very familiar with it. So let's do a little background on Common Sense. But before we get to it, let's review some events that happened prior to its publication in January of 1776. Well, let's go back a year to 1775. We have in April of that year the battles of Lexington and Concord between the colonists and the British. And these are known as the first battles in the Revolutionary War, even though they happened before the Declaration of Independence. And these are nicknamed the shot heard round the world. In July of that year, the Continental Congress issues the Olive Branch Petition, which is the colonists' hope to have peace and have their grievances addressed by Britain and King George III. And King George III rejects the Olive Branch Petition. If you've seen Olive Branch, that's a kind of an international symbol for peace. Throughout 1775 and the early part of 1776, most colonists did not want independence. That's very important to know, guys. It's not until later of 1776. And rather, they were seeking a redress of their grievances, or basically, hey, England, fix our complaints and go back to the days of salutary neglect. All right, so we're going to answer Thomas Paine, or T-Paine. Who was he? Well, here's a picture of him. He was a philosopher from England that moved to America in 1774. And his ideas reflected the ideas of that time period known as the Enlightenment. I do have a video on the Enlightenment in the description as well. That's another thing that's specifically mentioned in the new curriculum. So why did he publish Common Sense? Well, he urged America and colonists to break away from Britain and King George III. And here's a statue of Thomas Paine that I absolutely love. Look at this. This guy's like stomping on the ground, cheering and screaming, break away from the British. All right, so let's talk about the message of Common Sense and the impact of it. Well, the book was divided into 4 sections. The first one is the origins of government and remarks on English Constitution. So basically like what his thoughts are on government. 2, the monarchy and hereditary succession, this idea that kings are only kings because, well, they're born into the right family. 3, the present state of American affairs, and this is where he talked about all the issues that are going on in America. And 4, the present ability of America, and this idea that America really has come into its own and can break away. And the important thing to note about who it was written for, the audience of this, and this is something that with the new curriculum, you're supposed to be able to identify the audience of writings. The audience was the common people. And he wanted just average, everyday Americans. You know, it was said in 1776 that 1/3 of Americans wanted independence, 1/3 did not want independence, and 1/3 were on the fence. And he kind of wrote that to the people on the fence to urge them to break away. He said it was common sense to break away. And proportionally to the population at that time in 1776, it is the best-selling book in American history. As many as 500,000 copies were distributed to a population of 2.5 million. So 1 out of 5 people in America read his book. He was channeling his inner Oprah during this time. He's like, you get a common sense, you get a common sense, you get a common sense, and you get one, and you get one, and finally you get a common sense as well. All right, so let's go over some test tips for you with Common Sense. Multiple choice and short answer questions. If you see anything in those, perhaps you would have an excerpt from the reading from Common Sense, and you would have to be able to identify what the purpose is. For a short answer, you could it would give you 3 topics and explain how those contributed to the American Revolution, and Common Sense could be one of those. For an essay question, the chances of you seeing one solely on Common Sense is pretty much 0, but it could be part of the influences or the causes of the American Revolution, which is what your essay could be about. All right, hopefully I was able to clarify T-Paine's Common Sense for you guys today. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to leave them in the comment section below. If you have not already, please take a moment and subscribe to my channel. I thank you guys very much for watching, and have a good day.